Well,
Again, once you start with
if
yes or
you
no,
ask
then
me a
you
question,
violate.
you don't get to tell me how to answer it. Number
Yeah,
one.
because that's how we
Okay,
get to
no, it's no,
our.
yeah. Do you ask me a question? So I'd like to answer it for you. Can I do that?
Go ahead.
Thank
And let's
you.
see if you do. And let's see
Thank
if
you.
you do. Please.
So you asked me, do I believe if Kamala is genuine? Is that correct?
And how she represents herself. Yes. Do
I
you?
think I think Kamala is as genuine as any other politician.
Okay. And Jamisha?
Yes, I think she is.
Okay. Very direct, straight answer. Thank you. Anybody else like
I'm
that?
Oh no. I'm gonna say this though. I do like a good debate, right? I do because I'm not privy on politics. I don't know Kamala's side, I don't know Trump's side. So I like to hear both sides of what both parties bring, or what they're doing horrible, or what they're trying to do, or what they're both lying on, honestly. Because I'm not too
Agreed.
privy on it. I'm learning based on YouTube, Anton's morning shows. Y'all, I didn't even know about that case that Blackwell talked about, right? So some of y'all probably didn't know in the chat. So it's definitely good
No, I
conversation.
didn't know.
Yeah, see? Some of y'all learned some things in the chat about y'all probably didn't know about that case. Right? So anybody else want to address the topic before we go on to go ahead, Jasmine.
I just wanted to go back to Molly's point about Google and how you can't trust Google for all your sources of information that's reliable. The same way Google is, the people post on Google. People are responsible for the articles that you read. They're people just as Candace Owens, as you mentioned earlier. How can you trust what she says? Like, it's the same thing. You have to look at everything, not just Google, but you have to listen to people. You have to listen to people that you disagree with. And you have to find what makes sense. What is the common sense part? Because I can look up something right now, and then I can, if I want to, I can find an exact opposite argument, no matter what side it is. So you have to figure out where is the middle line, where is the common sense, what makes sense. And going back to your point about talking about Trump, Jamisha, like he's not like a real Christian or whatever. But it goes back to policies. Like you just said, you support the women's rights policies, but as a Christian, I'm not going to vote for that. So that's just where we differ in. I don't know if you consider yourself a Christian or not, but because I know some people consider themselves Christians and then they have different views. And I was once probably where you were in my belief system, and I'm just not anymore.
No, I understand what you're saying, and I am a Christian, very spiritual. That fact about Jamal Truelove came from a cited source of PolitiFact, and that's a well-known site that's used throughout politics. And then the other thing is I think the issue sometimes when it comes to Democrat and Republican viewpoints is that when you get lawmakers in Congress, they like to bunch all of this stuff together. So would it be convenient to remove abortion from the women's rights situation and literally break down every single right so that maybe the United States need to vote single issues? Because it does affect that if the media pushes that the main reason is to preserve women's rights is the abortion topic, that's going to cause a lot of feud, right? I'm pro-choice because I feel like my personal viewpoint should not be pushed on someone else. Would I get an abortion? No, but that's something that I'm not going to take away from somebody. But I'm someone that is a cancer survivor and I need my rights protected. Now that's no wrong to me, right? I've done no wrong to nobody. I should not have to lose my protection for someone that has suffered from a disease that I believe should be curable. So that's my concern on why I stay about women's rights.
But Trump
when it comes to me having
didn't take
breast cancer,
nobody's
I need
rights
birth
away, though.
control to regulate my body so that I don't continue to have issues. So if we could separate topics in Congress when we bring these bills up, I think it would be better. But since they're not, and they make it this way, it's hard for us to be able to agree on one law to be passed.
But Trump
Just
never
want to
took
say
women's rights
Roe v.
away from anything,
Wade.
though.
I'm sorry. I just want to say,
No,
okay,
go ahead,
y'all
Mom. I'm
keep
sorry.
talking about Roe v. Wade. When initially Roe v. Wade was not even for, yes, it was about her getting an abortion, but it was focused on her right to privacy. The abortion was like the situation she was trying to keep private. but it was about her amendment of having her privacy and not having the government intervening in what she had going on. It wasn't just about an abortion. That's just what they are always putting it on. It was her right for privacy. So all of this brainwashing about women's rights, that got to go
Cap,
out the window. Y'all really need
cap,
to do y'all research.
it's cap.
See, I think it's like the 14th Amendment. It was about her right for privacy. And we
Privacy
sitting
to
here,
have an
it
abortion.
doesn't, yeah. And then they're going off of that, trying to get everybody aroused emotionally. And y'all are having these needless conversations. When it wasn't, yes, it was about abortion, but it was about this lady just trying to keep her situation
And
private.
to my knowledge, I don't think Trump took it away. I think he just put it in the hands of the state. Am I right?
Pretty much. I was just going to
Right.
say
So
that.
Y'all
why
leave
are
y'all
we? So
marriage
why are we
licenses in
having?
the hands of the state.
But
Yeah.
you
So why are we
know,
having this
It's in the hands of the state.
because
this
if you
war
put it in the
on?
hands of the states, there are states that are heavily Republican or heavily Democrat, and therefore the
Move.
people that innocently live in these states, and is brought down to the states, they are in jeopardy of losing these rights. So there needs to be some federal so that people's rights are continued to be protected, so that individual governors in those states don't get to make the decision for many based on their own personal viewpoint. When you run, we talking about religion, church, you're supposed to separate the state and church, right? So why do we continue to bring religion into politics? We need to remove that. Why can't we just
Why
have
is Kamala going into a
logical
pulpit?
conversation? Right. I don't agree with that. No politician, nobody that's not an ordained minister or pastor and running that church should have anybody behind a pulpit. That's ridiculous. So I don't agree that she was up there saying what she had to say. You can step aside, or you need to have a conversation outside of church. I don't believe, the only thing that I support is telling your congregation about their right to vote and giving them the choice. You don't bring in candidates into these places, but that's what happens during election time. They pop up in churches and heavily black churches and they try to get those votes. No, I believe churches should just discuss nonpartisan. Do you need a ride to the polls? Do you need to know about all candidates and how to vote? Period. All that other, stuff needs to be outside of the church. You can't force that on your congregation.
Do you think abortion is more important than every other issue that is going on in the United States?
I don't, but that's the hot topic. That's the problem. Though the media on both sides pushes this narrative. We have more important things that we need to truly be discussing overall, but that is one of the highest.
If I told you your engine was on fire in the car and you like, yo, my radio need to get swapped out,
I wouldn't
think it's more
say that
important?
answer. So I'm gonna need you to.
If I told you, listen, your engine is on fire, I need it like right now.
Right, but
you were sitting here like, yeah, but my radio need to get fixed.
Making abortion a big thing when there's more issues. So that statement is proving the fact of what I just said. We need to separate these issues, because one little issue or concern of aborting a child is holding up other things that still need to be there under that policy. When we really break this down, we get
Whose
stuck on
fault
the
is that?
abortion.
Whose
And
fault
then
is that?
it's the people we elect in Congress's fault, because they're not doing the work that we're asking them to
It's
do.
not the women.
And on the other side of that, when it comes to that, we don't ever bring up what happens if they don't get an abortion and then they're at birth. What happens for this person that never wanted that child because they wanted the option? There are some people that want to have an abortion because they don't want kids. They didn't do what they needed to do. We get that storyline. But what do we do about the kid when the child is born? You have mad children in foster care, right? We're heavily overpopulated. We don't have enough foster parents for these kids. I'm not
So the
making
solution is
excuses for
abortion.
abortions. I'm just telling you the talking points for both sides.
I
That
feel-
is something that really needs to have a sit down conversation that may take years for us to get to a meeting in the middle, but we're not.
This might
We
be
have other
subjective, but
things
I
that
personally feel like y'all are taking up arms for your own personal genocide. That's how I feel. I feel as though that
Absolutely.
I feel as though y'all are literally marching for genocide, like ready to go to war for it too. Like we need to be able to kill ourselves. Like,
So did you understand anything that I just said?
You've never seen a Jewish community be like, yo, we need abortion rights. You've never seen an Amish community make this an issue. Only black people is sitting up here having this strong argument about killing children. It's the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life. The majority
of the country supports the woman's right to choose. The majority.
Does that make it right, though?
No, but
maybe the majority of the population are lost.
Do Kamala go to Doug Emhoff's community and talk to them about abortion?
No.
You said no other community.
Do Kamala go to Doug Emhoff's Jewish community and talk to them about abortion?
I'm unaware of all the communities.
Absolutely not.
Okay,
Absolutely
wait. Hold on. You made a claim that you can't substantiate where you said that these conversations aren't happening in any other communities. Yet the majority of the country agrees with the woman's right to choose. So you're incorrect. That's all I'm saying.
Listen. I just asked you a very specific question.
And I told you I don't know. Sorry.
Have you seen a European Jewish community, her husband, Doug Emhoff, walking around fighting for the right to kill their children? Yes or no?
Do you protest at Parenthood?
Yes or no? It's just a yes or no question. Yes or no?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Are any of y'all that don't believe in abortion foster parents?
Isn't it something?
Well, to your point, Jamisha, about that, my thing is that a big problem I think that should be addressed in terms of, the people that have kids and they don't want them, instead of saying abortion, we should say, how can we make it more affordable for families to be able to adopt these children? Because that is the real cause of why there's a lot of people that would love to adopt, but it's $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to adopt. And you can say, oh, well, if you don't have, some people might say, oh, if you don't have that money, well, then you can't afford it. That's not true, though. You're talking about these kids being in foster care and all these different situations when a lot of them might be better off in working class families, having good education, having a good home system, a good family system, if they figured out a way to lower the cost for adoption, not figure out a way to abort the babies.
So you just did, hold on one second. What you just did is what we all need to do with the people that are elected need to be able to sit at the table and push around these viewpoints, because maybe they don't see what you just said. What you just said made a great point. What can we do with our tax dollars for the children that are out here, right? How can we allocate funding, or can we get with insurance to figure out how we can mitigate so many children that are in foster care and make it affordable, which sounds crazy for these children to have good homes? Do we look at the qualifications? Do we make it stricter on, who you are, your background, type of job? Because then you don't want someone to get into foster care and get adopted and then they can't maintain that child. What programs? I think that's a great idea, but people don't want to have those conversations. We need to learn how to reallocate money, and I think that is a great talking point and pain point that should be brought up. It should be brought up in Congress.
I still think it's an agenda against the black population, because it seemed like more black people is marching for this and fighting for this more than any other Democrat.
Well, more blacks do get abortions. More black women get abortions.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I asked the question. Like, I don't see no Jewish. Matter of fact, if Kamala showed up to a real Jewish community with that, they would be riding at dawn. They would not have that shit. They would be like, we are riding at dawn on your ass. Because only black people though gonna sit up and be like, yeah, kill the children, yeah.
I agree with you, Blackwell, but I just want to point out a fact that, in the healthcare industry, most doctors will talk about preventative care. Most doctors will talk about, how do you prevent getting diabetes? How do you prevent getting heart disease? And I don't think we focus on enough about prevention instead of after the fact. The whole conversation we're talking about after the fact. I don't think we as adults are taking responsibility for our sex. Women aren't taking responsibility for their bodies and their actions. We're not having conversations before we lay down with someone. To me, it just seems like people just want to have sex without the accountability and the responsibility of having a child if that happens. When you can actually talk about, when you can actually sit down and talk to your mate or whomever you're about to have sex with, this is what we agree to. We're consenting. So when you consent to having sex, yes, it's a possibility that you can get pregnant. So how do you prevent that? Take some birth control pills, use a condom. I mean, there are so many things that you can do to prevent, and a lot of us aren't preventing all these things. We're talking about after the fact. Abortion is after the fact. Our whole society is talking about after the fact, and we're not focusing on teaching our teenagers and our children how to prevent getting pregnant. We're not taking responsibilities and accountabilities as adults about our sex, about our sexuality. So we need to focus more on that, because after the fact is again, we're fighting for, I agree with Blackwell, we're fighting to kill ourselves. And a lot of people, when they talk about abortions, they want to bring up, the 1% of people who are raped or whatever the case might be. That is a small group of people. We're not talking about that. We're talking about most people. Most people who get abortions are just basically not, made a mistake and not taking accountability for the fact that they had sex. And I think we need to focus on that first.
1,000%. I agree.
Further.
The thing is that it wasn't a mistake.
In the first place, how can you sit up here and say, well, you need to take accountability for our sex? Because we have a hypersexual society, and this is kind of speaking to the point of the Democrats. It's like they want to handle it on both ends. They want you to be as free to love who you want to love irresponsibly, love who you want to love, because love is love. But at the same time, we got you on the back end if you want to have an abortion. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a pro-choice person as well, but I don't think that this is such a big issue to the point where the Black community really needs to be talking about it, because honestly, we're not the only community that has abortions. And I would be willing to say that we're probably not even the main community that has abortions, because when people get pregnant, they'll be like, well, we can't afford the abortion. And my approach is always, well, if you can't afford an abortion, how are you going to afford raising a child? So it could be that it's not just that they put that out there for us. Maybe the people who actually passed that law put that out there for themselves, because maybe they're trying to protect their own race from genocide.
What race you think that is?
Anglo-Saxon. These are Anglo-Saxons who passed the law.
I agree with that.
So
I agree with Val 100%.
And Val, I agree. We should be doing a better job.
We talk about the difference in voting Democrat and Republican, but that is not the top of the line for me. It's the policies, and it's about the economy. It's not abortion. We're mostly grown people on this panel. So how many of us really have that? Is that an issue for us really today? Abortion?
I don't know the percentage.
Because I'm with you to that extent, if that's the case, because all of us on this, we're probably old enough to be having sex responsibly. So is that really our issue, and why do we make it such a topic?
Well, yeah, but there's also principles to it. The government telling women what they can and cannot do with their bodies is an issue for me.
That too, though, there is in the same thing that Trey is saying, or I don't know if you said it, Val, about birth control. There's conversations in regards to how Republicans or some Republicans view birth control, like IUDs, because it can prevent, supposedly the egg, doing its thing in the body. But some women, their IUDs is a form of birth control so that they don't get pregnant. So I don't understand like the narrative. Do they want people to get pregnant? Do they want to protect themselves? And this is not the majority. These are just topics that are what I've heard amongst Republicans with some viewpoints in regards to that. So how do we mitigate that? Birth control.
Well, quick story. Like, I agree with Val. Like, you know what I'm saying? Back in the day, I used to be a Thundercat. You know what I mean? I was in these streets. You know what I'm saying? Putting in work. But at one time,
you got kids?
Nah. But I had a pregnancy scare, right? And it was with a woman that I did not want to be family with.
Why?
Right?
You had sex with her.
I'm about to get to that, right? Right. So when it was a false alarm, that's when I was like, yo, any woman that I lay down with, I need to be okay with the outcome. You know what I'm saying? So that's my measuring stick for any woman that I would date. Like, listen, in the event that me and her become family, am I okay with that? In the event that this has to be the mother of my child, am I okay with that? If the answer is no, I shouldn't be touching her.
100% agree.
I shouldn't be touching her.
I agree.
You feel what I'm saying? So if everybody's approaching it like an adult, responsibly, understanding, what could come from this, then we wouldn't even have to have an abortion conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like we could get back to getting this money. I'm trying to figure out how we can get this money.